Hello friends, today we want to analyze the financial statements of Walmart, Amazon and Costco and try and understand which company is doing better, which company is a better business if you want to invest X amount of your own money, right? So starting with these three big retail giants, Walmart, Amazon and Costco, let's take a look at their sales. All the sales here is and all the values here are in dollar million. So I'll just unravel the sales. So in terms of sales, Walmart is much bigger than Amazon, and Amazon is much bigger than Costco. Walmart sales is 611 billion, whereas Amazon is 469 billion and Costco is 226. This actually is in fact much higher than the GDP of some of the countries like Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, etc. Right? So they have Walmart has substantially higher sales at 611 billion. Then, if you want to look at their gross margin, um, Walmart has a gross margin of 147 billion, which in terms of gross margin rate is 24.1%. Amazon, they don't report gross margin just because they also have services like Amazon Web Services, Prime Videos, etc. So they don't necessarily report gross margin, which usually is applicable to product-based companies. Costco, on the other hand, has a gross margin rate of only 13%. So one would like to think maybe Walmart is a much better business than Costco, just given the nature of the gross margin rate that Walmart has. So let's try and unravel more of the ratios here and see which one is having a better ratio. So now if you look at the operating margin, Walmart has operating margin of 5.8%, whereas Amazon has 12.6% and Costco has 4.3%. So that's a huge change from a gross margin rate of 24.1 to 5.8%. That's because the operational expenses of Walmart are way higher than that of Costco. Costco on one hand operates very efficiently. The number of stores are much lesser and the supply chain is also way more efficient, in a sense that Costco carries a lot of lesser number of SKUs. Just because it carries less number of SKUs, there is less manpower needed in terms of moving the items within the store, whereas Walmart requires way more manpower in stocking the shelves, as well as it has way more staff at their stores, just because they have way more number of SKUs or products in their stores. Costco, on the other hand, operates very efficiently with very few items in stores, which indirectly benefits its operating margin. So Costco, despite having a gross margin of 13%, has an operating margin of 4.3. On the other hand, Amazon, because it operates in the tech space, it has a much healthier operating margin of 12.6. So with this piece of information, it looks like Amazon is probably a better business just because it is having a much higher operating margin. And keep in mind, Amazon also does a lot of R&D, which is an additional expense. Despite all of that, Amazon still has a much higher operating margin. Now, in terms of their net profit, Amazon triumphs here at 4.7, whereas Costco and Walmart are pretty close enough. They are at 2.8 and 2.6%. So one would argue Walmart and Costco are probably just the same in terms of the profit margin rate. So why not choose Walmart just because it is much higher sheer volume of sales. So wait, let's try and understand a few more ratios before we make any decision on which business we want to invest in. Then let's take a look at the average store sales per store. Walmart annual sales per store is approximately 58 million, whereas Costco's sale is 271 million. So that's roughly, can argue 5.5 times higher sales per store is done at Costco than at Walmart. Again, that's because of the sheer volume, and Costco again benefits from higher economies of scale, better product cost, etc. Now comes the most important factor, right? So we looked at the gross margin rate, the operating margin, and the profit margin, and Now comes one of the most important factor: how much capital is required to operate Walmart, Amazon, and Costco. So that will give you an important indication of how good a business it is. So looking at the capital required, and again here the capital is the operating leases, the property, plant, and equipment that goes into running the business. That's what we consider as capital, which can be found in the balance sheet. Costco operates way more economically with respect to the amount of capital that is required to run the business. So it can operate at $27 billion, and the return on capital is 21.8%, whereas Walmart operates at 14.6, Amazon at 12.3. Arguably, Amazon invests a lot in other areas, so their capital expenses is a bit much higher. But if we strip off some of their R&D capital expenses, probably their return on capital may be much higher. But in terms of the return on capital between Walmart and Costco, definitely Costco triumphs by a huge margin. No wonder some of the investment magnates like Charlie Munger, they invest significantly in businesses like Costco, and also they talk highly of Costco. So from an investment standpoint of view, just looking at the net profit margin rate or the gross margin rate won't be good enough. We still have to understand how much capital is required to run the business and how much return on investment is what we are going to get from that capital. Again, the calculation for capital or the return on capital is based on the amount of capital that is required to run the business, and the return on capital rate is calculated based on the amount of money or the net income that the company generates over the amount of capital that is required, right? So for instance, at here in Costco, the capital required to run the business is 27 billion, and annually it generates a net profit of 5.9 or close to 6 billion. So that's a return on capital rate of 21.8%, whereas Walmart has a return on capital of 14.6%. Clearly, it shows that for every dollar that is being put into capital, Costco is generating much higher return just because it is having much higher inventory turn and it is having lower operating expenses. And just because it has lower number of stores, it has lower leases to pay and lower staff cost to pay. As a result, it is having a healthy operating profit, and through its healthy operating profit generated from lower capital, it is having a much better return on investment or return on capital. So feel free to leave a comment or like if you enjoyed this video. Thank you.